hard house in the style of Clouds and Sam Alfred. Let's go. The first thing that's really important for this is going to be the drums. So this is a template from my Hard House Revolution pack. The link to that's at the top of the description, and I got a little promo code as well so you can get a discount, so you can get going. It's got these awesome kits, including this one. With these drums, I think it's very important to notice there's not a lot of effects, but there is a lot of processing. How do I mean that? So I mean, like, if you look at this, I'm making the kick a lot shorter so that it fits really well with the bass line. It's all about that relationship between those two. Even if there's not a lot of effects on the kick, we're still processing it pretty heavily. And it's important because, you know, if you make it too short, you don't really get the punch. And you can be wondering why your track doesn't sound good. But if you make it too long, right, it's going to get in the way of the bass line. So it's like that perfect in-between. And there's a lot of this kind of processing with the hi-hats in this genre as well. Right, if you look at this, I've made the hi-hat a lot shorter so it just sits really well. As just this short, punchy little thing in the mix. You don't need it to be this whole... Right, you can see the track and the groove works a lot better when it's like this. So that's really the processing with the drums, is like getting the right length, sometimes tuning them as well. Right, you're not going to use too many effects, but you are still going to process them. The clap, that one's pretty dry, but it's also just the sample selection. I think with all these main drums, you're going to have a really good ear for sample selection. Right, they're all three really punchy and hard already right out of the gate, so the clap didn't need much. And then the famous rave loops. Now, the thing with the rave loops is you're basically going to be layering a few, like I got these from Hard House Revolution. Right, 3 of them that all kind of do very different things. Like this one's very much in the high end. You hear this one a lot in the mid-range. And this kind of sits in between those two. And then you're layering them together. A bit of this auto pan, this just kind of gives it that volume shaper, so it sounds like it's being sidechained to the kick, but it's a lot more controllable this way. And then a high pass filter. I think the main thing that's really important with the rave loops too is just they don't actually end up being that loud. Like they are, you hear them a lot, but the key is you get the main 3 drums, the kick, hi-hat, and clap above them. And they're kind of in the background. If you put these up too loud, right, it really doesn't work. And you might think that when you hear the tracks, but really like a little bit goes a long way. You know, the more I turn that up, the more it's kind of getting in the way of other stuff in the track. So then we got this bass line. So this is a preset from Hard House Revolution, and the MIDI's in there as well. What we're doing here is this is really like kind of the first part of our chord progression, as in we just have the root notes here. So our chord progression, we're in E minor. This is a very straightforward Hard House type of chord progression. Root, 5, 6, 7, right? It's also used a lot in like deep house, trance. A lot of these chord progressions aren't necessarily new to Hard House. They just sound like it because it's kind of happening in a different way here, or in a different sort of like aesthetic, right? But the other thing with this is the rhythm. It has a lot of groove because it's doing the syncopation. Right, so it's really how that interacts with the drums too. And this is what I heard in a lot of the Clouds and Sam Alfred tracks. That's why I wanted to talk about this, is like, you know, a lot of times people think the hard house bass is just this. And there's definitely plenty of tracks that have that, but also it's a different kind of groove when you have this syncopation here. Now, for the sound, I'm using drift for this one. What we got is we got a saw wave and a sine wave together. So you're kind of getting like... Right, the saw wave, but you can hear the saw wave on its own is not that fat. It doesn't really fill out the low end really well, so you just bring in a little bit of a sine wave. It's kind of like a sub bass and a mid bass at the same time. We got a low pass filter. I've got the envelope on it like that, envelope 2, so it's just like that. But then the volume envelope is this one, and it's nice and solid. Right, like it's not, there's no kind of pluck happening there. The pluck happens all in the envelope that's on the filter. I've got the drift up a little bit. You know, obviously too much you don't really want, but a little bit can give it some life. I'm converting this to mono too. And then we have this auto pan here, which is just set up like a side chain. You know, there's no panning. It's just on, the phase is on 0, quarter note, inverted saw wave. And it essentially makes it sound like it's being side chained to the kick, but it allows you to control how that side chain goes a lot more. Then we've got these chords. Which are layered with the piano. And then this operator as well. So these are the layers that you usually hear. When you hear these big piano hard house tracks, a lot of times it does start with a piano. But I wanted to show you the other layers with it and how they really impact it. Right, you see how it all comes together, and it's all really important to the sound and just making the biggest possible piano you can get. The piano just on its own, it doesn't take up as much space, or doesn't like fight through the mix the same way, because these elements essentially pick up the slack where the piano might be a little bit weak. Like, so the piano on its own is pretty good, but then you have the operator to give it more punch. And then this analog layer kind of fills in the more like mid-rangey, kind of watery stuff. So again, the piano can be as big as possible. So with the piano, it's literally just a piano sample. I have this delay set up like this, really fast, but then it's on the ping pong setting. So it's basically a way of just spreading it out a little bit. If I turn that off, and then on, you can see it just gives you that really wide, huge piano sound. High pass filter, and then we're side chaining this to the kick. The reason I'm side chaining this and not doing the auto pan is then if you go to a break, like a part where there's no drums, it won't still have the side chaining. Right, you can have kind of like a break from that in those parts. The analog layer, it's just a sine wave, but I'm actually using a little bit of this formant filter. Here's without it. You can hear it gives it like this resonant, kind of like just very warm sound. The amp envelope is set like that. We got a little bit of ping pong delay on eighth notes. That's what the 2 is. A little bit of short reverb as well, giving it some space. And then high pass filter and sidechain. And then for the operator, it's this FM patch with sine waves, but it sounds like a bit of a saw wave because we're basically using a sine wave and then we're FMing it with a square wave, which is an octave up, and then another sine wave slightly. Right, so it's kind of like a way of building like our own square wave that's a little bit more unique. I got some chorus on that, a little bit of echo, where the left and right ear are 2 separate times, so it makes it a bit wider. High pass filter, and then we're side chaining this. For the actual MIDI that all this stuff is playing, it's the same chord progression you saw on the bass. We're just kind of got a few different voicings here. So it's basically like, there's our basic E minor, right? Our basic B minor, C major, D major, right? So it's the same stuff you saw, but then we have this kind of melody happening up top. Right? Like that's how you're going to write these. Like I can show you, I'll make one right now in front of you. So let's do the same key, and we'll do kind of the same rhythm. So like that. And then let's go up to the 3rd. Then let's go to the 6th, 7th, okay? Now let's add in the rest of the notes on here just so you can see. So there's the 5ths. We'll do the 3rds as well. Cool, so let's say that's our chord progression. Now we can take different notes from the scale, like that's the 5th. And we're gonna have like a melody where it's following the same rhythm over top. Let's do like that, 6th to 5th. And it's not that complicated of a melody too. You know, we can even just duplicate it. Right, so you see, that's basically what's going on over here too. This melody really isn't even moving as much, right? This one's just kind of like one note each time. The other thing that's going on in here that's a little bit different is that I've also got these 5ths, sort of the top note in this basic triad. I've doubled them up an octave down. So we're selecting all of those, and then you can literally just, I'm holding down Option, and we're going to go down to the root. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right, and it just kind of gives that a little bit more grounding. So that's what we're doing over here as well, that you're seeing where the lowest note is not technically the root note of the chord. It's because we're doing the 5ths. So that's the big piano chords. That's how to do it in the MIDI as well as the actual sound design. Then we got some little vocal stabs here, like we got first this one. So this is one of the vocals from Hard House Revolution I've taken in here. It's just got a little bit of reverb, high pass, and a sidechain. It's a pretty simple thing, right? I just pitched it to be in key. It's mainly like how it interacts with that chord progression, you know, like you get... Then we go with this, then there's like this little thing. They kind of like talk to each other, right? So you kind of like, it's less about like the actual individual sound, and it's more so just having these little things that just jump in and kind of talk to each other like that. With the operator patch, it's really simple. We're going root 3, 4 in this E minor scale. And then it just, as far as the sound goes, it's just this little FM bell kind of sound. A low pass filter with an envelope on it, kind of making it plucky, like if I turn that off. Right, it just makes it a little bit punchier. Some chorus, delay, reverb, sidechain, high pass. We've got some more stuff like this too. Like there's also this little stab. Again from Hard House Revolution. This thing just hits every... Right, and it's kind of droning over top. Like if you hear that with the chord progression. And you can see I tuned that as well. You gotta just make sure that everything's in tune when you're using these audio pieces like this. They're very big in Hard House though. And it's just that art of tuning it all together. There's this vocal. Right, again, just a simple vocal. I'll play you it without any effects. You can see I brought this one in time a little bit. And again, this is from Hard House Revolution. And I pitched it. It just hits every 4 bars to kind of like reset the loop. Right, a bit of delay, reverb, high pass, sidechain. And then this last little drone sounds like this. Right, so you can hear we have a lot of stuff droning under the chords. There's a lot of atmosphere in this kind of hard house. So to do something like this, you just grab like one little piece. Like it's literally that. Just one syllable repeated over and over. I've got a bit of reverb. to kind of wash it out a little bit. And then this auto pan sidechain, because I wanted it to be really just sharp and powerful, and kind of like, even if this was in the break, it's still kind of nice for the atmosphere to just have that kind of like shaped like that volume wise. And then we got a high pass filter. Because yeah, you know, that just kind of cleans it out, makes room for the bass and all of that. And that is how to make hard house in the style of Clouds and Sam Alfred with the big pianos and the hard drums. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to like this video as well as subscribe. Once again, check out Hard House Revolution at the top of the description. I used it to make this thing that I've shown you in this video, and I've got a little discount code there as well just for the YouTube people. Limited time only, so use it while it's available. Thanks for the support, everybody, and I'll see you tomorrow with another video.